صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. يا عبرة المؤمنين يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ونريد أن نمن على الذين استضعفوا في الأرض ونجعلهم أئمة ونجعلهم الوارثين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. I begin in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise be to Allah, the Lord of the skies and the universe, the Lord who created you and I in utmost perfection and sent us to this universe due to His infinite mercy. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is constantly emphasizing in the Quran how great man is. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Constantly Allah says أَلَمْ نَجْعَلْ لَهُ عَيْنَيْنِ وَلِسَانًا وَشَفَتَيْنِ وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. Constantly Allah is emphasizing that you, O human being, are the greatest creation hands down. No doubt, there's no doubt in that. Yet at the same time, just as Allah emphasizes that man is the greatest creation known to mankind, He speaks about man in the worst of forms ever. At the same time, He says in one verse, man is the best. Yet in another verse, Allah says, ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. Then He's the worst of human beings, worst of creations. Is this a contradiction in the whole Quran? Is Allah telling us that man is semi-natured, half devil, half angel? Is this what Allah is saying? No. He's saying the criteria as to what makes you better than the angels, what differentiates you from being better than the angels and from being worse than the beasts is Iman. What does Allah say? He says, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. Allah swears by time. He says by time, man is at loss. All of them? No. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Notice. وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. He says every human being is at loss. Well, He puts a condition. He said except the one who has Iman. Except the one who has faith. Because to be honest with you, man without faith is miserly. Man without faith is arrogant. Man without faith is conceited. There's no point of me living if I'm not abiding by the rules and regulations that my Lord has given me. Salawat ala Muhammad wa Therefore, when coming to these blessed nights of Muharram, and we have entered, I believe, the third night of Safar, these are honorable nights. These are blessed nights that we need to constantly ponder and contemplate upon. Just like the brother beautifully said it. He said if we act without knowing why we're doing it, there's no point of doing it at all. As in, I'm going around the Kaaba. If I don't know why I'm going around the Kaaba, there's no difference than me going around the green palace of Muawiyah. There's no difference. Or rotating or circumambulating around an idol house. There's no difference. It's the meaning that differentiates good from bad. It's the Iman. Because it flourishes your heart. It gives you this energy. It's just like a laptop. I always give this example. You can buy the best laptop. It can be Dell, Compaq, the best. But if however good the laptop is, if you haven't paid the bill, to get internet, No matter how good it is, no matter how fancy it is, no matter how expensive it was, you don't have internet. Why? Because you didn't pay the bill. Paying the bill is iman. Allah says, تحسبهم, you see them, they're beautiful. He has the nice beard, he has the dishdasha, he has the subh in his hand. Yet you listen to him when he speaks, كأنهم خشب مسندة, just like hollow pieces of wood. And it's very unfortunate to say that today in the Muslim nation, many people follow blindly. And the only way we can have this clear image of Islam is by going back to the movement and revolution of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, because in this battle, he portrayed for us what a true Muslim is supposed to be in Karbala. And one of the most essential and fundamental criteria to understand when it comes to the Battle of Karbala is the fact that it's a universal message. It's universal. One of the biggest problems we face today in our societies is what? We think Imam Hussein is exclusive for us. We confine him, we limit him, we cocoon him, we put him in a golden box. Whenever we want to cry, whenever we want to beat our chest, we go and look at this box. Yet once we leave the masjid, we forget Imam Hussein, and we forget everything Imam Hussein came with. It's a problem. Why? Because Imam Hussein alayhi salam is a cure. Understand this concept. Imam Hussein alayhi salam is medicine. Yet if we don't know how to portray the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam correctly, he becomes a poison. What do I mean by that? Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib beautifully says it in this hadith. He says, هَلَكَ فِيَ إِثْنَانِ. Understand this. He says, هَلَكَ فِيَ إِثْنَانِ. He says, two people will be destructed because of me. Meaning they will be led astray. Imam, you are Imam al-Insi wal-Jan. You are Ali ibn Abi Talib. You are Wasi of Rasulullah. Two people will be destroyed because of you. What do you mean by this? He said, مُحِبٌ قَالْ وَمُبْغِضٌ. He says, مُحِبٌ غَالْ وَمُبْغِضٌ قَالْ. Look to what he says. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib is a medicine for all of us. He's a cure. Whenever we have a problem, you go back to Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, you find the cure is there. Yet he says, if you don't know how to portray me correctly, I become a poison. He says, هَلَكَ فِيَ إِثْنَانِ. Two people will be destroyed because of me. Who? مُبْغِضٌ قَالْ. One who degrades my status. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib is great. Yet once you degrade his status, he becomes a poison. Why? Because you can say, Imam did this, Imam did that, in the name of Islam. You can attribute and appoint certain actions to Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. How many people today kill, massacre, suicidal missions in the name of Islam? I'm doing this because Allah has told me to. This is the problem. This is the biggest problem you can face in Islamic society. When he does something bad, he corrupts the nation in the name of Islam. It's just like Muawiyah. Muawiyah was smart. He wasn't like Yazid. Yazid was a hypocrite. In what sense? In front of the people, he acted vicious. He went against Islam. Behind the people, he would go against Islam. Yet Muawiyah was smart. What would Muawiyah do? In front of the people, he would act religious. He would pray Jama'ah. He would say Allahu Akbar, he would have this in his hand, But once he goes behind the curtain, once he goes back home, he was a wild beast. Today, unfortunately, many people have undertook the role of Muawiyah. In front of the people, they're religious. In front of the people, Allahu Akbar, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Behind the people, he's speaking out against everyone. This is a problem. So Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, we go back to the hadith. He says, هَلَكَ فِيَ إِثْنَانِ مُحِبٌ غَالٍ. Number one, مُبْغِضٌ قَالٍ. One who degrades my status. وَمُحِبٌ غَالٍ. And one who exaggerates with my status. مَا كَانَ مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ أَفَإِنْ مَاتَ أَوْ قُتِلَ انقلبتم على أعقابكم. Allah says Muhammad was simply a prophet. Many people came to Rasulullah, they would say, we're not going to follow you. Why? You're a prophet of God. We would expect angels to be with you. You're a man just like us. You walk in the stores, you eat, you sleep. Many people act like this when it comes to Ali ibn Abi Talib. Muhibbun ghal. We exaggerate. Even to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We say Imam killed 80,000 people in Karbala. Calm down, brother, calm down. Imam Hussein alayhi salam flied when he came to Karbala. He didn't come in a caravan, he came on wings. No doubt, Imam Hussein can do everything. Imam Hussein alayhi salam had Ism al-A'zam. But the mission of Imam Hussein in itself is great. We don't need to exaggerate. The fact that Imam had an army that consisted of 72 people going against 30,000, this itself is brain-boggling. We don't need to exaggerate. And likewise, we don't need to do what? We need to degrade the status of Imam Hussein. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam has the unbelievable hadith. He said, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ الْحُسَيْنَ لَمْ يُقْتَلْ. He says, those who say Imam Hussein wasn't killed are disbelievers. Therefore, we shouldn't exaggerate of the status of Imam Hussein, and we shouldn't degrade it. We should state the fact, because the moment you state the facts to the world, they'll be attracted to Islam. I mentioned in the beginning that it's essential to understand that the mission of Imam Hussein was universal. Universal in what sense? Meaning even the atheist can come and learn from Imam Hussein. The atheist. I was reading recently of a Hindu sect by the name of Husseini, what's the name? Husseini Bahmans. This sect, what do? They don't believe in God. They don't believe in the Rasulullah. They worship deities like Vishnu. They worship the kinds of gods. But once it comes time for Muharram, you find them wearing black, mourning Imam Hussein and hitting their chest. In their own way, of course. In their own language. In their own tradition and culture. They remember Imam Hussein. Yet these aren't people who worship Allah. These aren't people who pray. These aren't people who believe in Muhammad as a messenger. Yet they come and say Imam Hussein alayhi salam was a universal character. Therefore we love him. Imam Hussein represented justice. We love justice. Therefore we're going to love Imam Hussein as well. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala. Universal. When I go to the world and I want to teach him by Imam Hussein, imagine a Christian comes to you, he asks you, who's this Imam Hussein of yours? What's the situation? What's going on? You guys are always wearing black, always crying, always hitting it. What's going on? What's the problem? Are you okay? You know, there's two kinds of people. You can go to Imam Hussein, you can tell the Christian, you can tell Imam Hussein was a man who was on a horse and he fought some people, and then you can read him maybe some Azadari or Majlis, he won't know what's going on. He'll say, what's this guy talking about? Yet on the other hand, contrary to that, you can come and tell him Hussein was a man who came and completed the religion of Jesus. Notice how immediately he'll connect to you. Immediately he'll say, wow, your Hussein came and completed the mission of Jesus? Yes, why? Imam Hussein alayhi salam, when we recite Ziyarat Warith, what do we say? Assalamu alayka ya warith Adam. Assalamu alayka ya warith Nuh. Right? Assalamu alayka ya warith Ibrahim, Musa, Isa. The greatest of prophets all have been manifested in Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Why? Because there's no sacrifice that can be compared to the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Every prophet, now you may tell me, certain prophets went through torture. For example, Ibrahim was thrown in the fire. Ismail ibn Hussein, his skin was ripped off his face. Is this not torture? Do you not consider this torture? Yes. But no prophet, please understand this, no prophet undertook the oppression that Imam Hussein alayhi salam undertook. La yawm ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. There's no day that can be compared to your day, oh Imam Hussein. Why? You find, for example, Zakaria, he would take Imam Hussein as an example. I mentioned this yesterday. But what I didn't mention is that Zakaria would ask Allah. He will tell him, oh Allah, I want my son to be killed in the same way that Hussein will be killed. And indeed, Yahya, he was beheaded. Why did all the prophets take Imam Hussein as an example, but Imam Hussein didn't take the rest as examples? In what sense? Everybody said, I want to be like Imam Hussein. Zakaria comes and says, I want my son to be killed like Imam Hussein. Ibrahim comes and says, oh Allah, through Imam Hussein save me. Nuh, Isa, greatest prophets, they say, oh Allah, I want you to save me through Imam Hussein. Why? Because in Karbala, no sacrifice can be compared to the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. I mentioned Zakaria, his son Yahya was killed. Each prophet was tortured to a certain extent, meaning one piece was taken out of Karbala and applied to all the prophets. What do I mean? You find Zakaria, his son was killed, correct? And then you have, for example, captives. You have prophets who their family were taken as captives. If you studied history, the Babylonian exile. The Babylonian exile, what happened? The children of Israel were taken as captives and they were tortured to such an extent. And then you have, for example, infants were killed in Karbala, correct? What I'm trying to